Step one to cooking perfect pasta is having a pot that is big enough to cook it in, right? So noodles need a lot of room to move around, otherwise they get stuck. There's no way around it. So cooking pasta noodles in a pot that is too small will just yield drama, like sticky, nasty noodles, unless you stand it there and like stir them constantly. In which case, you know, if you want to do that, be my guest. But if you cook in a big enough pot, it'll just make your life easier. So this is a relatively large pot, but it's also very shallow. And I'm using a shallow pot because I want you to be able to see inside the pot. But this is the pot that I would normally use, something about this big for 2 to 4 servings of pasta. It may seem like a lot of water, but trust me, it's really important. Get rid of that guy. Okay, we've got our boiling water here. I've already got it ready boiling. You'll notice that it's covered. Like this, I don't know where this idea came from, but people think that an open pot of water will boil quickly. It won't, right? The heat is like coming up through the water and then it's going off in the atmosphere. It's just like going away. So if you want a pot of water to boil quickly, you need to cover it, right? Like a pot of water, I've actually timed it. And in my experience on my stove at home, a pot of water will boil like 4 times faster if you cover it. And I guess you can crank it up to like 50,000 BTUs on your oven. You know, it's like the hounds of hell level of heat. But like really, if you just put a lid on it, like you don't have to turn up that heat that high and it'll boil much faster anyway. So we've got this water boiling and now we're going to salt it. And we do not want to salt water before it boils. And there's an important reason for that. And it's because salt will change the boiling temperature of water. So water boils at 212 degrees. And clearly that changes depending on what altitude you're at, right? So if you're, you know, if you live at like a high altitude, like location, like your water is going to boil actually at a lower temperature. But at sea level or thereabouts, water boils at 212 degrees. Now, salt is super important, as I've already explained. But if you salt your water before it's boiling, it actually lowers the boiling temperature of water. So this water right now is boiling. It's at 212 degrees. We're going to add our salt. If we were to add our salt ahead of time, especially with the amount of salt that we're adding, it would actually lower the boiling temperature of the water, so it would boil faster. And that sounds like, in theory, like, oh, it's boiling faster. That's awesome. No, right? Because you want your water to be at 212 degrees to make sure that your pasta boils or that your pasta cooks properly. So if you add salt to your water and like depending on how much salt you add, it starts boiling at like 190 degrees or 200 degrees. I don't remember exactly how much it lowers the boiling temperature of water. Like your pasta is not going to cook as quickly and it's not going to be a perfect texture. So we're going to salt this water really quickly. So this is about 4 quarts of water. And so we're going to take a fairly large amount of salt. We're going to go for 3 tablespoons. Whoop. Now my hands are all salty, and I'm going to get a little spoon so I can taste it. The salt's already dissolved, right? Because this water is boiling. Now do not put boiling water in your mouth, please. Like, let's be smart about this. What we're going to do is we're going to take a little bit of water and we're going to let it cool off for a second, blow on it. And then we're going to taste it once it's cool enough to not like scald our faces. Perfect, tastes like the sea. So for about this much water, it ended up being, what I said, 3 tablespoons, which is perfect. So now we're going to add our pasta. Now, this is long pasta, and I want to show you how to add long pasta to a bowl of water without breaking it. So we're going to take, this is a 16-ounce package. This is 1 pound. We're going to take half, which is 8 ounces. And so I have a whole pasta measuring cheat sheet that I'll give you in this lesson. But in general, pasta, you can get pasta everywhere. In general, pasta servings work like this. The FDA says that a pasta serving for a single adult individual is 1 ounce, which is literally like that much pasta. Who eats that much pasta? That's ridiculous. Nobody eats that much pasta. The FDA is like diluted, right? So most brands of pasta makers say that a 2 ounce serving is the average serving of pasta, which is about this much. That's a little more reasonable, but this is like a pasta side. Nobody eats 2 ounces of pasta either, but they're doing this because when they add their nutritional information and carb count on the side of the package, if it says you have like 90 bajillion calories and 90 bajillion carbs for 1 serving of pasta, you're not gonna buy their product, right? So they'll tell you that 2 ounces is a serving of pasta for 1 person, and it's not true. What an average adult eats is 4 ounces of pasta in 1 sitting, if it's their main dish. And that looks like that. That is 1 serving of pasta for the average adult as the primary dish for dinner. So this is technically 2 people's worth of pasta. We're gonna add this to the water. I'm actually gonna turn up my cooktop a little bit because once I've taken the top off, like the heat is now escaping, right? So it's not boiling as quickly. I'm gonna hit it again, take it a little bit higher. We're just gonna put it right in. And you're gonna see that it's like sticking out of the side, right? And this is why people break their pasta. It's kind of annoying, but watch. We're just gonna let it sit for a second. We're gonna kind of push it, push. And this is a wide pot, so it's gonna happen a lot faster. So in your average pot, like the one I showed you, that's gonna be about this big, it'll take like 10 seconds longer, but it will still happen. We're gonna push it, got our spatula, and it goes. Pasta bent. How long is it? Like 10 seconds. It's taking a little longer, there you go. And it's in, right? All the pasta is in the pot. It did not have to be broken. Like it's totally fine. Now what we're gonna do is we're going to keep agitating this pasta for the first 30 to 60 seconds. Depends on the individual pasta. Like cheap pasta tends to cook a little bit faster. Thicker, more expensive pasta tends to cook a little bit slower, so it needs to be stirred for a little bit longer, so that's the 60 seconds. So I'm gonna keep stirring this and then we will revisit in a second.